Ethan's boots clanged softly on the metallic floor as he walked down the narrow corridor of Orion Station, a research outpost orbiting the distant planet Elysia IV. The station was small, barely large enough to house 20 crew members, but it had everything they needed to study the planet below. The stars outside the window shimmered like diamonds scattered on black velvet, and Ethan couldn't help but pause to admire them. He had dreamed of this day for years, working in space, among the stars, exploring the unknown. But now that he was here, excitement mingled with nervousness. He was a rookie engineer, fresh out of training, and this was his first mission. "Ethan Carter," a voice called. He turned to see a tall, slender figure approaching. She had pale blue skin that seemed to glow faintly under the station lights and long silver hair that floated slightly, even in low gravity. Her eyes were a deep violet, intelligent and calm. She wore a standard station uniform, tailored perfectly to her frame. "You must be Lyra," Ethan said, trying to sound confident. He extended his hand. She looked at it for a moment, then inclined her head slightly. "I am," she replied, her voice soft but clear. "You are the new engineer." "Yes," Ethan said. "And you?" Lyra smiled faintly. "I am assigned as your roommate. The station rules require 1 bed per 2 occupants. We share quarters." Ethan felt a small pang of surprise. Sharing quarters with an alien? He had trained for many things, but this was new. Still, he forced a smile. "Okay, I can do that." Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly, and Ethan sensed caution. "There is one rule," she said. "1 bed, 1 rule. Don't sleep close. No falling in love." Ethan blinked. Falling in love?" "Yes," Lyra said simply. "It is dangerous for my species. Physical proximity can create an empathic bond if one sleeps too close. It can overwhelm us." Ethan swallowed. He had expected alien quirks, but not this. He laughed nervously. "All right, noted." Lyra did not smile. Ethan realized she was serious. He nodded quickly. Their quarters were small but functional. 2 sleeping pods were built into the walls, separated by a thin divider. There were lockers, a small desk, and a window looking out into space. Ethan set down his bag and looked around. "This is cozy," he said. Lyra gave a small nod. "It is sufficient. You may unpack." As Ethan arranged his few belongings, he noticed her observing him quietly. There was something curious in her gaze, a mix of assessment and interest. He shook his head. "Probably nothing." After a short while, the station commander's voice came through the intercom. "Carter, Lyra, please report to the common deck for orientation." They followed the corridor together. Ethan kept stealing glances at her, trying not to be obvious. Lyra walked with grace, her movements precise, almost like she had rehearsed every step. Humans might have called it elegant. Aliens might have simply called it efficient. The common deck was bustling with activity. Crew members were preparing equipment, checking data, and monitoring communications. Ethan's heart raced. This was the real station, far from Earth, where every action could mean success or disaster. The commander, a tall human woman with short auburn hair, approached them. "Welcome to Orion Station," she said, her voice firm but friendly. "You two will be sharing quarters, so I trust you understand the rules." "Yes, Commander," Ethan said. "Good, 1 bed, 1 rule," she repeated, smiling slightly. "Do not sleep close and do not fall in love. Our mission depends on discipline. This station is isolated. Emergencies happen. Emotional attachments can be dangerous." Ethan tried to imagine falling in love with a teammate in space. It sounded far-fetched, almost funny. But Lyra seemed unaffected by the humor in his mind. She nodded, her expression serious. "Understood," Ethan said. "Very well," the commander continued. "The station functions smoothly only if everyone follows protocols. Your first task is familiarization with life support systems. Then you will begin routine checks of the observation decks and data monitoring. Any questions?" Ethan shook his head. Lyra didn't speak. "Good," the commander said. "Dismissed." As the commander left, Ethan turned to Lyra. "Well, here we are." Lyra's eyes scanned the room beyond the windows where stars and the faint curve of Elysia IV could be seen. "Yes," she said softly. "Here we are." The next few hours passed quickly. Ethan learned the layout of the station, the emergency protocols, and the locations of every essential system. Lyra guided him through alien technology interfaces, pointing out differences between human and Andari systems. She was patient, precise, and surprisingly thorough. Ethan admired her intelligence. Humans were clever, yes, but there was something about Lyra's understanding of both logic and intuition that was extraordinary. After the tour, they returned to their quarters. The station was quiet now, the hum of engines and life support the only background noise. Ethan felt tired but restless. "You should rest," Lyra said. "I will." "Soon," Ethan replied. He watched her float gently to her pod. She lay down, her body seeming to glow faintly under the lights. She closed her eyes, but her expression remained calm, almost regal. Ethan moved to his pod, but sleep did not come easily. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about the commander's warning and Lyra's mysterious nature. Humans could handle isolation, danger, and technical challenges. But what about the emotional side? Falling in love in space sounded silly, yet her presence stirred something unfamiliar in him. Hours passed. Finally, he drifted into a light sleep. In the middle of the night, a soft sound woke him. He opened his eyes to see Lyra sitting at the window, gazing at the stars. Her silver hair floated gently, and her violet eyes reflected distant suns. "Can't sleep?" she asked, turning slightly. "I guess not," Ethan admitted. She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she continued looking out at the stars. "Earth is very far from here," she said finally. "Do you miss it?" "Yes," Ethan said. "Sometimes. But I've dreamed of being here my whole life. It's worth it." Lyra nodded, her expression unreadable. "You are brave," she said. "Humans are different. We Andari admire certain qualities: curiosity, persistence, courage." Ethan felt a small warmth in his chest. He had expected her to be distant, alien in every sense, but she was observing, learning, even judging, but not unkindly. "Thank you," he said. "I admire your species, too. You see the universe differently." She tilted her head slightly. "Perhaps. But I am bound by rules." "Yes," he said softly, remembering the warning. "One bed. No falling in love." Lyra looked at him for a long moment, then returned to the stars. Ethan felt the weight of the rule pressing against something in his heart. It was strange, this sense of connection to someone so different and yet so fascinating. Hours later, he finally slept again, dreaming of distant planets and the unknown challenges ahead. Lyra remained awake, her mind scanning the cosmos, analyzing, observing, yet somehow aware of him. As dawn approached, the first light of Elysia IV's sun peeked over the horizon, casting a gentle glow through the station windows. Ethan woke feeling both excited and apprehensive. His first day at Orion Station had ended, but the real adventure, living with Lyra, navigating rules, and exploring both space and human emotion, was only beginning. Outside, the stars still shone, reminding him that humanity had reached beyond its cradle, and inside, beside him, Lyra lay quietly in her pod, a mystery that promised both challenge and discovery. Ethan smiled, feeling that perhaps in this vast, lonely universe, the human spirit was not so small after all. Ethan woke to the gentle hum of Orion Station. The stars outside still sparkled, though the rising sun of Elysia IV cast faint gold streaks across the metal walls. He rubbed his eyes and glanced at Lyra's pod. She was already awake, sitting upright, legs crossed, and staring at a holographic display projecting alien symbols. "Morning," Ethan said quietly, trying not to disturb her. Lyra's violet eyes met his. "Good morning," she replied calmly. "Did you sleep well?" Ethan hesitated. "I managed," he said. "Your species seems very disciplined." Lyra's lips twitched into something resembling a smile. "Discipline is necessary. Rules are important. Our lives depend on them, especially on a shared station." Ethan nodded, remembering the rule about sleeping and emotions. "One bed. Don't sleep close. No falling in love," he repeated aloud, as if saying it would make it easier to follow. "Correct," Lyra said. "It is simple in words, difficult in reality." Ethan frowned. He had expected space rules, safety protocols, life support checks, maybe emergency drills. But emotional rules, that was new. He wondered what she meant by difficult in reality. Before he could ask, the station's intercom crackled. "Carter, Lyra, your first task is life support familiarization. Meet at the maintenance bay in 10 minutes. "Right," Ethan said, standing. He floated slightly as the low gravity pulled at his body, and he grinned. "This never gets old." Lyra followed silently, her movements precise and graceful. Ethan noticed that despite her calm exterior, she seemed alert to every sound and vibration in the station. Humans relied on senses, instinct, and quick thinking. Lyra seemed to rely on something deeper, something almost Connected. In the maintenance bay, the life support systems hummed quietly. Pipes, conduits, and holographic displays filled the space. Ethan approached the control panel and scanned the readings. Oxygen levels, temperature, pressure, all within safe limits. Lyra gestured toward a holographic interface. These systems differ from human technology. We prioritize efficiency and minimal human error. Observica. The morning sun of Elysia IV bathed Orion Station in a soft golden glow. Ethan floated along the corridor toward the observation deck, his mind still buzzing from yesterday's lessons. Life on the station was a delicate balance between routine and unpredictability, and he knew he had to stay sharp. Lyra was already at the observation deck, her violet eyes scanning the holographic displays of the planet below. Ethan approached quietly. "Good morning," he said, smiling. Lyra turned her head, her silver hair floating slightly. "Good morning, Ethan. Are you ready for today's tasks?" "I think so," he said. "What do we have on the schedule?" Lyra gestured toward the main console. "We will monitor atmospheric readings and analyze incoming meteor activity. Today you will also practice emergency protocols with me?" Ethan nodded. He had trained for emergencies, but nothing could truly prepare a person for the unexpected. The first few hours passed smoothly. They checked weather patterns, analyzed storm clouds, and recorded the changes in Elysia IV's magnetic fields. Ethan admired Lyra's efficiency. She anticipated every change before it occurred, and adjusted the station's instruments accordingly. Her mind worked like a finely tuned machine, precise and logical. Ethan, on the other hand, relied on improvisation. He noticed minor fluctuations in the station's pressure that Lyra had not considered. "Look here," he said, pointing to a holographic readout. "There's a small rise in pressure in Sector 7. It's minor, but we should monitor it closely." Lyra studied the display. "You are correct. Humans detect what is not always measurable. I had not considered that." She tilted her head slightly. "I find this admirable." Ethan felt a brief warmth at her words, but reminded himself of the rule. Don't get close. Don't fall in love. He forced a small smile and continued monitoring the readings. By midday, the unexpected happened. The station's alarms blared and the lights flashed red. Ethan's heart jumped. "Ethan!" Emergency in the outer hull. Lyra shouted, her voice calm but urgent. Ethan rushed to the console. The station's sensors indicated that a meteor storm had begun, unexpectedly dense and moving faster than predicted. Small meteoroids had already damaged several outer panels, and if the storm reached the main life support area, the station could be in serious trouble. "Brace for impact," Lyra commanded. "We must secure the station manually. Sensors and automated systems will not suffice." Ethan nodded, adrenaline surging. "Understood. Let's go." The station's corridor shook as meteoroids struck the hull. Ethan and Lyra moved quickly, securing panels, rerouting power, and reinforcing shields. Every motion required precision and speed, and Ethan realized that human creativity complemented Lyra's precision perfectly. "Hold this brace," Lyra ordered, passing a stabilizing tool to him. Ethan caught it, adjusting it against a weak panel. Sparks flew and the metal groaned under the impact. Sweat formed on his brow despite the low gravity. "This is intense," he muttered. Lyra glanced at him briefly. "Intensity is not the same as danger. Control your fear and you will act correctly." They moved together seamlessly, passing tools, holding panels, and repairing the damage. Each relied on the other's strengths. Lyra's understanding of station systems and Ethan's ability to improvise under pressure. At one point, a large meteor struck dangerously close to the observation deck. The force threw Ethan against the wall, knocking the breath out of him. He gritted his teeth and pushed himself up, scanning the area. Lyra was already on her feet, analyzing the hull damage. "You are unharmed," she said after a moment, her eyes calm. "Good focus," Ethan nodded. He realized she trusted him to act, even under extreme conditions. That trust fueled his determination. Together they repaired the outer panels, secured loose equipment, and stabilized the life support system. Hours passed, but the meteor storm did not relent. Ethan and Lyra were exhausted, their movements precise but slower. Yet neither complained. Survival depended on focus, teamwork, and courage. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the storm subsided. The alarms ceased and the station settled into silence, the hum of life support the only sound. Ethan sank into a nearby chair, breathing heavily. Lyra floated to his side, her expression unreadable. "You performed well," she said. "Your ability to remain calm and act under pressure is impressive." Ethan felt a rush of pride. "We both did well," he said, gesturing to her. "I couldn't have managed without you." She inclined her head slightly. "Agreed, humans have qualities that are surprising. Your creativity and courage complemented my skills." Ethan smiled. He had expected alien efficiency, precision, and logic, but not recognition of human ingenuity. For the first time, he felt truly respected, not just tolerated but valued. After ensuring the station was secure, they returned to their quarters. Ethan floated to his pod, still catching his breath. Lyra followed, her movements calm despite the stress. "You should rest," she said. "Your body and mind need recovery." "Yes," Ethan agreed. But as he prepared to enter his pod, he hesitated. The day's events had changed something between them. They had relied on each other, survived a crisis together, and seen each other at their most capable and vulnerable. The rule about distance seemed harder to follow now. Lyra noticed his pause. "Are you considering the rule?" she asked softly. Ethan looked at her. "Yes," he admitted. "It's harder than I thought." Lyra's violet eyes met his, calm and understanding. "Rules exist for safety, not punishment. You must follow them. But the connection we have formed through action, not proximity, is natural." "It is acceptable." Ethan nodded slowly. Her words eased some of the tension in his chest. He realized that bonds could form through shared experience, trust, and teamwork, without breaking the rule. That night, the station was quiet. Ethan lay in his pod staring at the ceiling. The memory of the storm, the flashes of sparks, and Lyra's steady presence filled his mind. He realized that humans were capable of more than survival. They could adapt, create, and form bonds in extraordinary circumstances. Lyra, in her pod, seemed to sense his thoughts. She floated for a moment, then settled back down. Even in sleep, she was calm, alert, and connected to the world in ways he did not fully understand. Ethan finally drifted into sleep, dreaming of meteors, distant stars, and the strange, fascinating presence of the alien girl beside him. For the first time, he understood that space was not just a place of science and survival. It was a place where humans could shine, where courage, creativity, and heart could overcome the unknown. He woke the next morning with a renewed sense of purpose. The meteor storm had tested their skills, their courage, and their bond. He had survived not just because of training, but because of human ingenuity and the ability to trust and collaborate with someone different, someone extraordinary. Lyra was at the observation deck again, watching Elysia 4. Ethan floated toward her. "Ready for today?" he asked. Lyra glanced at him, her expression calm but thoughtful. "Yes, today will be less dangerous but equally important. Observation, analysis, and preparation. Our experiences yesterday have changed our approach." Ethan smiled. "I think I'm starting to understand how humans can contribute in ways aliens might not expect." Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, you are learning. And so am I in observing you." Ethan felt a quiet warmth. Respect, trust, and admiration. These were forming between them, slowly, carefully, without breaking the rule. He realized that human qualities, courage, creativity, adaptability, could shine even among the stars and across species. The day ahead promised challenges, discoveries, and lessons. But Ethan felt ready. He was not just surviving in space. He was thriving, learning, and forming a bond that would guide him through the trials to come. And beside him, in the glow of the station lights, Lyra floated gracefully, a mystery and a partner in the vast universe, a reminder that humanity could rise above danger, uncertainty, and the unknown, shaping the future with ingenuity, courage, and heart. Days passed quietly after the meteor storm. Orion Station's outer panels were repaired, the life support steady again, and the crew back to their routines. Ethan began to feel more at home in space. The hum of engines, the floating sensation of low gravity, and the view of endless stars had become familiar. Lyra, too, seemed different. She still moved with grace and precision, but there was a subtle softness to her tone when she spoke to him. They were no longer strangers thrown together. They were partners who had survived danger side by side. On a calm morning, Ethan drifted into the observation deck, holding 2 mugs of warm protein drink. He handed one to Lyra. "Thought you might like this," he said. Lyra accepted it carefully. "Thank you." Human drinks are unusual, but pleasant, Ethan smiled. Better than the standard rations, right? Yes, she said softly. Better. They both floated near the wide window, watching Elysia 4 spin below. The planet's oceans shimmered and faint auroras danced across its poles. Ethan sipped his drink and glanced at Lyra. You ever miss your homeworld? She tilted her head. Yes. The Andari homeworld is full of quiet seas and luminous forests. Our cities float above the water. The stars there feel closer. Ethan listened with interest. He had grown up in a busy Earth city filled with noise and traffic. The way Lyra described her world sounded like a dream. That sounds amazing. We only have oceans and forests separately, nothing that glows naturally. Lyra's lips curved into the faintest smile. Humans have many things that amaze us. The bright disk of Elysia 4 filled the observation window. From orbit it looked calm, green seas and white clouds. But the scans told another story. The planet's magnetic field pulsed strangely, and deep below its ocean something unknown was sending signals. Orion Station's scientists wanted samples and data immediately. Commander Harlow called Ethan and Lyra to the control deck. Our drones picked up anomalous readings from the ocean floor, she said. We need a live team to go down, check the signal source and retrieve samples. You're the best option. You've already shown you can work together under pressure. Ethan's heart beat faster. He had expected to work on sensors, not dive into alien oceans. We're going down there ourselves? He asked. Correct, Harlow said. You'll use the scout vessel Stellar Wing. It's small, fast, and has reinforced shields. You'll be tethered to the station by comlink only. This is strictly exploratory but could be dangerous. Lyra stood straight, her expression calm but her eyes glowing faintly. We accept, she said. Ethan glanced at her, surprised at her quick answer, but he nodded. We're ready. Preparing for descent, the Stellar Wing sat in the docking bay like a silver arrow. Engineers ran final checks while Ethan and Lyra suited up. His suit was a reinforced exosuit with microthrusters. Hers was a sleek Andari design that glimmered faintly with reactive energy shields. Ethan double-checked his toolkit, scanners, sample pods, and a small welding unit for emergencies. Lyra brought a set of Andari field crystals that could stabilize unstable energy fields. As they walked toward the vessel, Ethan whispered, I've never piloted something through a live alien ocean before. Lyra looked at him calmly. Fear is natural. Preparation makes it smaller. He smiled nervously. That's a good line. I'll try to remember it. Once inside the cockpit, Ethan settled into the pilot's seat while Lyra took the sensor station. The cockpit was compact. 2 seats, a narrow aisle, and glowing panels. Outside the docking doors, the curve of the planet waited. Ready? Ethan asked. Ready, Lyra replied. Descent into the unknown, the Stellar Wing detached from the station with a soft shudder. Ethan guided it toward the planet, its shields glowing as they cut through the thin upper atmosphere. Clouds drifted by like ghostly curtains, and then the vast green ocean appeared below. Coordinates locked, Lyra said, her fingers moving over the console with fluid precision. Signal source is 800 meters below sea level. Ethan whistled softly. That's deep. They plunged into the ocean with a muffled roar. Pressure sensors spiked, then stabilized. Outside the viewport, faint light filtered down through green water. Strange jelly-like creatures drifted past, glowing with their own inner light. Life signs everywhere, Lyra murmured. This ocean is alive with energy. Ethan stared at the alien fish. Some had translucent wings. Others looked like living ribbons. Beautiful, he said. Almost like your star meditation patterns. Lyra's lips curved faintly. Yes, but do not be distracted. Trouble below. They descended deeper, the water darkening until only the vessel's lights cut through the black. The signal grew stronger, pulsing like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the ship jolted. Warning lights flashed. What was that? Ethan asked. Unknown current, Lyra said quickly. Adjusting stabilizers, another jolt shook them. A shadow moved just beyond the lights, something huge gliding silently. Ethan's hands tightened on the controls. Please tell me that's a normal fish. Lyra scanned rapidly. It is a massive organism. Non-hostile for now. Keep steady. Ethan exhaled slowly. Right. Steady. The shadow faded into the darkness. The signal ahead pulsed stronger. They were close. The discovery at the ocean floor. Jagged towers of crystal rose like frozen lightning bolts. Between them lay a glowing sphere the size of a small shuttle. half buried in sand. It pulsed with blue-white light. "That's no natural formation," Ethan breathed. Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Agreed, this is technology. Very old." Ethan maneuvered the stellar wing closer, activating the external scanners. Readings off the charts. Energy signature unknown. Lyra placed her hands on the sensor console, closing her eyes briefly. "It resonates with a pattern similar to our ancient star beacons." "Meaning? It may be a relic of a precursor species," she said quietly. "Very rare," Ethan swallowed. "Guess we're about to become famous scientists." Lyra didn't smile. "Fame is irrelevant. We must be cautious." First contact with the relic, they extended a mechanical arm from the ship to take a small sample from the crystal towers. As soon as the arm touched the surface, the glowing sphere brightened. Alarms blared. Energy surged through the water, rattling the ship. "It's reacting to us," Ethan shouted. Lyra's fingers danced over controls. "Stabilizing shields. Do not retreat yet." "Not retreat? It's waking up." Lyra's calm voice cut through the noise. "Fear makes mistakes. Follow my instructions." She activated her field crystals, creating a harmonic wave through the ship's shields. The glow outside softened. The relic's pulsing slowed, stabilizing. Ethan stared at her. "How did you know that would work?" "It was a guess," Lyra said softly. "Based on our meditation patterns." He laughed shakily. "Remind me never to doubt alien meditation." They managed to extract a small shard of the outer crystal. Data streamed into their consoles. Disaster strikes. Just as Ethan stored the sample, the massive shadow returned. This time it moved faster, circling the ship. A giant eel-like creature with a mouth full of luminous teeth appeared in their lights. "Uh-oh," Ethan said. "Big friend's back." Lyra scanned rapidly. "It is drawn to the energy surge. Defensive but not mindless." The creature rammed the ship, throwing Ethan against his harness. Lights flickered. "Shields at 70%, Lyra warned. Ethan gritted his teeth. "We need to get out of here." The eel circled again. Its body glowed brighter, charging some kind of bioelectric attack. Lyra's mind raced. "We must calm it. The relic's energy is upsetting it." "Turn off the sample arm." Ethan retracted the arm. "Done. Still angry." Lyra reached for her field crystals again. "I will create a counterpulse." "Steer the ship slowly backward." Ethan did as she said, hands steady on the controls despite his pounding heart. Lyra released a soft wave of harmonic energy. The glow around the eel flickered, then dimmed. Slowly, the creature drifted away into the darkness, no longer hostile. Ethan let out a breath. "That was too close," Lyra nodded. "Yes. But we have succeeded." Returned to the surface with the sample secured and the creature gone, Ethan guided the stellar wing upward. The water lightened as they rose. His shoulders finally relaxed. "That was the scariest dive of my life," he said. Lyra's violet eyes softened. "Yet you held steady." He glanced at her. "Couldn't have done it without you." They broke the surface and ascended to orbit. Orion Station loomed above like a silver crescent. Docking clamps engaged with a soft thud. As they disembarked, Commander Harlow met them in the bay. "Report?" Ethan handed her the sealed sample pod. "We found your anomaly. Ancient tech, deep ocean, plus one very big local life form." Harlow's eyes widened at the data stream. "Excellent work. This could change our understanding of this system." A quiet moment. Afterward, later, in the observation deck, Ethan and Lyra sat side by side, sipping warm drinks. The stars felt closer than ever. "That was incredible," Ethan said. "I've never felt so alive and terrified at the same time." Lyra stared at the stars. "This is what exploration means. We risk ourselves to learn." He looked at her. "You were amazing down there. Calm, fast, smart. I'd have panicked without you." She glanced at him. "You were steady as well. You trusted me. That matters." They sat in silence for a moment, the only sound the hum of the station. Finally, Ethan said, "You know, this is the kind of thing that makes humans dream about space, seeing things no one has ever seen before, facing danger with someone you trust." Lyra tilted her head. "Humans dream. And you act. It is a powerful combination." He smiled softly. "Guess we make a pretty good team." Her lips curved faintly. "Yes, we do." Seeds of change. The days following the mission were full of excitement. Scientists analyzed the sample and data. Rumors spread through the crew about the ocean relic and the massive eel creature. Ethan and Lyra found themselves at the center of attention, answering questions and replaying the footage for research teams. But outside the public eye, something had shifted between them. They still slept in separate pods. They still respected the rule. Yet the bond formed under the ocean felt unshakable. It was no longer just an assignment. It was a partnership. One night, Ethan asked quietly, "Do you think the Andari Council would approve of what we're doing? A human and an Andari working this close?" Lyra thought for a long moment. They would approve of the results, but they would worry about the closeness. Because of the empathy link thing? Yes, our minds can mirror each other if we grow too close. But I think, she hesitated, I think our differences protect us. We build bridges, but not too fast, Ethan nodded. Bridges are good. I like bridges. She looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly. As do I. Looking ahead, Commander Harlow called them again the next morning. You've both proven yourselves. The Council wants a second mission soon, deeper and farther. But for now, rest. Ethan and Lyra exchanged a glance. They both knew their journey was far from over. The relic below had been just the beginning. That night, as Ethan lay in his pod, he thought of the glowing crystal. The days after the ocean mission passed in a blur of analysis. Orion Station's